Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is a very great game and one of my personal favorite games of all time. This game means a whole lot to me, and it's the first game I really remember playing through completely, and it still holds up as a very solid game today with a good story and amazing combat. Because of this, I decided to share the reasons I love it with you, so that you might get interested and buy it yourself. Maybe you'll enjoy the game as much as me, and find a new game that you can play and enjoy. Now let me give you a little backstory on the game. It was made by Raven Software right after Jedi Outcast had come out. They were given a 1-year development cycle and asked to complete the game in that time. It's the 5th game in the Dark Forces franchise, and it was released September 16, 2003 on PC and November 18, 2003 on Xbox. The game takes place 14 years after the Battle of Yavin, which means it's 10 years after the Battle of Endor, which is honestly less time than I assumed it was. You start out crashing on the planet of Yavin 4 while on your way to the Jedi Temple there. You and Rosh Pennon go through the jungle and make your way to the temple. When you reach it, you see a woman with a scepter, but are quickly knocked unconscious. You wake up to Luke, Rosh, and Kyle standing above you and asking questions. You can't remember anything and they tell you it's fine. Right after that, you go inside and each student is assigned to a Jedi Master to train under. You and Rosh are assigned to Kyle Katarn, which is the character you play as in the previous game, Jedi Outcast, and most of the Dark Forces series. He gives you basic training and then you're thrown out there into real fights. You go through levels training to become a Jedi Knight while unraveling the plot that the disciples of Ragnos have devised. It's in the old expanded universe, before the dark times, before Disney. Anyway, let's talk about the lightsaber combat. The lightsaber combat in this game and Jedi Outcasts are by far the best in any Star Wars game before or after it. You have 5 different saber styles to utilize, and lightsabers actually work like they should. You cut through foes like hot butter, and the saber combat is only enhanced by the force powers. Now there's a wide array of force powers, and they're all categorized into 3 sections: light, dark, and neutral/universal. Light gives you powers such as force heal, which, heals you, and protection, which protects you from a good amount of damage, force absorption, which protects you from force powers, and Jedi Mind Trick allows you to make yourself invisible and even turn enemies on your side. Then there's the dark side abilities, and I think Force Grip and Force Lightning are pretty self-explanatory, but Force Rage increases your damage, but it also takes away health, and it allows you to swim in lava while it's activated. And Force Drain drains the life force from opponents and gives you more health in return. Finally, there's the neutral force powers: Force Push, Pull, Sense, and Jump. What they do are all pretty obvious except for Sense, and that just allows you to see where enemies are through walls and how much health they have. Now, along with the lightsaber and force powers, there's also 9 different blasters that you can use. Each of them are unique and have their own attributes and secondary fire. There's the DL-44, the E-11, the Wookiee Bowcaster, the DEMP-2, the DXR-6 Disruptor Rifle, the FC-1 Flechette Shotgun, the Heavy Repeater, the PLX-2M Rocket Launcher, and the Stoker Concussion Rifle. There's also 3 grenades, the Thermal Detonator, the Trip Mine, and the Detonation Pack. All of these weapons work very well and can be very useful in certain missions. Although I do believe you could probably beat this game without using any of them as long as you skip one mission. The progression system in this game is pretty simple. You start out with a lightsaber and 4 force powers and 4 blasters to choose from. But as you complete levels, you can upgrade and unlock new force powers and blasters to start the level with. Along with all of this, you also get to pick a new lightsaber style as you progress. And a bit later after that, you can choose to have a double-bladed lightsaber, 2 lightsabers, or you can just stick to a single saber. But honestly, who's gonna stick to the single saber when you could have a double-bladed like Darth Maul? Now there are 21 levels in Jedi Academy, and most of the levels in this game are well made. I mean, sure, there's a few duds. I'm looking at you, Merchant Rescue. But overall, they're pretty good. If there's a level you really can't beat or hate so much you never want to play it, the game gives you the option to skip over 3 missions That also means that you will have 3 less points to spend on force powers. Personal favorite levels of mine are Corellia, where you have to fight your way to the front of a train; Blengeel, where you have to disable 5 bombs by yourself; Hoth, where you're investigating the Imperial Remnant and have to walk through the aftermath of the Battle of Hoth; Krildor, where you work with Wedge, the leader of Rogue Squadron from the movies, and take over this Imperial base; and Biss, where you and Kyle Katarn go through this Imperial ship and try to escape. It has a very Death Star-ish feel to it, and I like that level a lot. There's also several other levels I love, but I'd rather not ramble on about them and make this video any longer. Now in the levels, there's a few boss battles that you're going to have to do. There's only really a handful of them, and they're all pretty good as long as you just don't spam force speed. If you do that, the whole thing's a cakewalk. Also, a quick note here. Although the Rancor you run from earlier in the game may not seem killable, it definitely is. But it keeps respawning after you kill it. Oh, and you can't kill the mutant Rancor. Trust me, I've tried. Now I'm sure people are going to be wondering which version of the game I prefer, the Xbox or PC version of the game. And personally, I'd recommend getting it on PC for one huge reason: mods. Now, Jedi Academy has one of the most amazing mod communities, and they're so dedicated, it's incredible. There are so many amazing mods for this game, but today I'm going to be going over what I consider to be the big 3, which are Movie Battles 2, Movie Duels, and Knights of the Force 2.1. Let's start with Movie Duels. Movie Duels is a mod that was created by Vector X and is now being remastered and added onto by the Movie Duels remake team. It's essentially a mod that lets you play through specific missions that are moments from the prequels, and it has a few extra missions like Anakin vs. Vader, Starkiller vs. Vader, and Ben Kenobi vs. Cybermaul. The Movie Duels remake team plans on adding more missions, including things from the original trilogy and sequel trilogy. It has a decent amount of characters to play as, and all the levels are well made. Next is Knights of the Force 2.1, and that's a mod that's being created by the Knights of the Force team, led by a man known as Fire Phoenix. This mod has a large variety of maps and a ton of characters and NPCs that you can spawn on each map, essentially creating your own levels. For instance, I made a level where you fight through the bridge of a Star Destroyer as Admiral Akbar with a white lightsaber. I spent hours making levels in this mod, so many that I have 4 folders full of save files for different levels. This mod has missions too, but not quite as many as Movie Duels at the moment. But each mission is from a different era, having the Duel of the Fates, Luke vs. Vader in the Throne Room, and Revan vs. Malak. They are currently working on more missions and plan on adding even more characters and maps to the game. Now the final mod I'm going to talk about is Movie Battles 2. This one's more well known than the other two, and I've seen other videos about it, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. While the other two focus on single player, this one focuses on multiplayer. Movie Battles 2 is a fresh change of pace, as it completely changes the entire game, making it a class-based game reminiscent of TF2. The lightsaber combat is very different, adding a block button and making the combat way more in-depth. I personally suck with the lightsabers in this mod, so I stick to the blasters, which have also been improved, along with several new weapons being added. The classes add a lot of variety to this mod, and keep things fresh. You have the Soldier and the Commander / Elite Trooper, which have weaker weapons but extra lives. Then you have the Hero and the Bounty Hunter classes, which are snipers, the Sith and Jedi, which are your saber classes, the Wookiee and Super Battle Droid, which are very tanky but slow classes. The Clone class has 1 respawn, sprinting, and a solid weapon, and the ARC Trooper has a variety of weapons and attachments along with acrobatics. The Mandalorian class is a jetpack along with a flamethrower and a back-mounted rocket that they can fire. And finally the Droideka, which can roll around extremely fast and transform and use its shield and powerful blasters to defeat enemies. If you were to get tired of normal classes and maps, you could try Full Authentic, which has some crazy stuff on it, that's for sure. Each one of these mods is still being worked on and improved, and I would highly recommend trying out all 3 because each one brings something a little different and they're all extremely fun to play. The community around Jedi Academy is very small but very loyal. The modders are amazing and have such a strong dedication to the game that I have to commend them for it. This game is still being played today by people, and if you have a spare $10 lying around, consider picking it up on Steam and trying it out for yourself. By the way, I'm Game Nasher and this is my very first video, so if you have any recommendations or critiques in the comments, please post them there. I would be happy to read them. And that'll be all for now. Signing out.